In order to, I know all of you guys have perfect binders, and after you bind and glue up and scrape all of the excess glue off, your strips don't do this. I don't know, you might need to be able to see this. Your strips lay perfectly flat, but mine don't. Okay?
Technique only, guy.
Is it technique only?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Well, when I start trying to straighten this, the first thing that I want to do is remove any twists that are in this bamboo. I can't necessarily get the bends out until I've gotten the twists out. I can't see that with my glasses on. This piece here, okay, let me back up. You got to have a true flat surface in order to work with this. And I use this little piece of marble or granite or whatever it is. There's a guy in our church that installs granite countertops, and I get his scraps. So, you know, this is one that he screwed up. He filled these two holes in the wrong place. So no, this is one Brett gave me a few years ago, Brett Ryder. And I've got another piece that's an inch thick that stays on my bench that he messed up. And it's truly flat. First thing I would do is have a flat surface so that you know if I'm working off this table here, I bet this table's not flat. It's close, but this is one of those places where you begin to get into precision. I'm trying to find this twist right now. If you're close enough, and you're more than welcome to gather around here where you can actually see what I'm doing, this will rock between my fingers as I press down. You see it slightly rock? Okay. But here it doesn't rock. So between my fingers it's rocking, and I'm going to narrow it down. I'm going to bet. What I'll do is I'll take a pencil, thanks Bob, and I'll just make a little dot right where the center of the twist is. Okay? And then I'm going to heat this to the point of pliability and twist it in the opposite direction. Okay? And you have to kind of pay attention so you don't put more twist in. I've done that a lot of times too. Here I use the same heat gun on the low setting, and I use my fingers as my temperature gauge. Okay? I center the twisted part right over the center of the nozzle, and I just twist it back and forth. And I keep feeling of it with my hand. And when it gets so hot that I can hold it but just barely, then it's the right temperature. We're almost there. Then I twist it in the opposite direction, hold it.
Now, Harry, since I wasn't paying attention, what happens to your varnish on that piece?
Same thing. You have to kind of, varnish needs to be a month old or so. You know, if it's fresh, I twisted it the wrong way.
Okay.
I put more twist in it.
Harry, are there any glues that you use to glue up a blank that have such a high heat level that you can't?
I don't know. Good question. I use Shell Epon epoxy for the most part. I can twist and straighten that. I have used Gorilla Glue several times. I can straighten that.
That was my question. The polyurethane glues will straighten.
Yeah, because Bill Harms and I have an ongoing argument. Bill says what I'm doing is softening the glue and straightening, allowing the strips to slip against each other. I say no, I'm softening the bamboo, not the glue. Okay? Who's right? Depends on whether you ask me or Bill. Okay? I got the twist out. Now, important, because I got the twist out, I erase my marks. Okay? All right? Now I start looking for bends. And I start at the tip end of every section. And I look for where I roll it until it's at its highest point. Okay, and I've got nearly a ½ inch here where the tip is off of the marble. And once it's off the marble at its highest point, I keep checking it to the point where it touches the marble. Okay? And I make a dot right there, actually just a ½ inch back from there. I'm going to heat it over the heat gun, bend the inverse bend. Okay, this bend is about a 5 or 7 degree bend in there. I'm going this, let's say it was bent like this. Once I got it hot, I'd want to bend it like this. I want to put the opposite bend in there, the mirror image bend to what's already in there. You will find that almost every time your bends are at your nodes. So your nodeless friends like Bill, where'd you go, Bill? There you are. May not have quite the worries with this.
Yeah, been somewhere else.
Have them somewhere else? Okay. And you notice I do that subconsciously now. I just test it. That's the inverse bend, maybe a little more than the inverse bend. And I always bend down, okay, this way. That's just the way I do it. You can put the dot on the bottom and bend up if you want to, but this works for me. Okay, it's a lot better. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I didn't get it all out. And you see what I'm doing now? Now where does it touch? Well, it's a little up here. I erase my dot. Okay? And I put another dot. Oh, wait.
Harry, you don't have to chase your bends all over the damn tip.
Well, and then I don't keep doing the wrong one. Okay. Bend in it for a few seconds. Sometimes I'll just go stick it in front of the air conditioner in my shop. I'm in Louisiana. We got the air conditioner running 10 months a year, you know. Uh-oh. Went too far, didn't it? Sometimes if you work quickly, you can straighten this twice before you have to reheat it.
Hey, Harry.
Yes, sir.
Mine are never this bad, but if they're really bad, do you like start at one end and start working to the other end, or do you start in the middle?
I start always until I can get that tip to lay flat on the ground. That I'm sitting here burning the rod. Until I can get that tip to lay flat, I don't worry about down here. Once I get the tip to lay flat, I'll start working out the little bitty short kinks in the thing, you know.
So, like start in the middle and work toward the tip?
Well, I'll start at the butt and get it, I'll work at the tip, get it straight. Oh, man, let me get this in. Let me find my dot. There it is. I start at the tip. Where'd you go, Dave?
There he is.
I don't have my glasses
It's
on.
him, officer.
Okay. Now you can see we're getting closer there. But we haven't got it. And it's Tips are certainly the easiest to do. Also the easiest to do are the little short kinks. The long, slow sweeps are quite difficult to get out this way. Any of you have any of those that kind of make a long, slow sweep? Well, I found a good way of dealing with that too, and we'll get to it in a minute.
Does this come out?
Yes.
Once it begins to get straight, you can feel it roll evenly in your hand too.
You ever tried to surf one of them breast grab right ones?
Oh, for small people. Just open
And what will drive you nuts is you'll work on this thing, and you'll work on it, and you'll think, I'll never get it. You'll keep working another 5 minutes, and all of a sudden it's straight. I don't quite know how to explain that. Now from about here to here, I've got a long, slow sweep that goes this way. So I'm going to straighten that whole thing at one time. And gets the whole thing hot.
Did you ever check the temperature, Harry, to see what you're getting it up to?
It's about 200 degrees. Well, if you think about it, how hot of water can you put your hand in? Not very hot.
Not very hot.
It's not 212, that's right. No. So I can just...
We're talking.
Takes me long to tell if it's warm or not. I can tell, you know, the fact that I can still hold it on the outside, but just barely, means that it's certainly not 212 degrees.
No, no. Oh, probably 130, 140, maybe.
Maybe so.
You said to take a long, you were going to take that long sweep out. You just put your hands farther apart?
And I heated that longer section.
Yeah.
That's the way I did that. Another way to take out long sweeps, and one that I use quite frequently when my wife isn't home, is I'll go in the house and get her Teflon coated iron. Okay? And I put it on its highest setting, non-steam. I don't like the idea of steaming an unvarnished rod. And I just make 1 pass, 2 passes, 3 passes, and I flip it 1 flat. And I flip it 1 flat. Same thing, 2, 3, 4, flip it. And I just work it, and I get this whole rod section so hot you can't pick it up. You can delaminate them this way, okay? So practice a little bit before you do all of this exactly. Does that make sense?
doing those in your forms?
No, I'm doing those on this piece of granite. I'm not doing them in my form, which is a good idea, but you'd have to set a double taper in there, you know, twice the taper. Actually, what's the geometry on that? Some of you math whizzes. In order to get this in the form where it would still seat in the form, but be above.
We'll do twice plus the whatever thread you've got if you're rolling them in there when you're. One of the things that Dave Norling does, he takes and he sets his forms double plus a couple thousand for the thread. When he does a Z-bond, he straightens them out and he puts them in the form and he takes a hard rubber roller and it rolls and twists, twists and rolls and twists and rolls.
And I've heard of guys that will put them in those forms with a piece of wax paper in the form to keep them from getting glued,
Right.
and then clamp them with a steel bar on top to the form. But I'll often make 12 rod sections at one time. I don't have 12 sets of forms, you know. I got 2 sets and a couple of wooden ones. Oh, my bench is this high, and that helps a bunch, okay? And I have a little stool that I will sit on rather than do that. That's the way I straighten tip sections. I'm not going to go any further. let's assume it's a butt section. Pretty dang straight. Let's get another butt section. By the way, some of you know Martin Darrell O'Dom. These sections are courtesy of Martin Darrell. Actually, they cost me, but he made them, okay? He does good work. Can't find a butt section with a bend in it. When I found one, no thanks. When I heat butt sections, I heat them way up here, not way down here. I want to heat them very slowly, all the way through. And oftentimes, I'll get it right down here and start it getting warm, and then I move it up here, so that I've got a lot lower temperature here than I do right there.
What's the issue with that?
You've got to get it heated all the way through. And if you expose it to this high temperature, let's say it's 650 degrees coming out here. Well, it's 300 degrees right here. I'm going to turn it to toast if I get it all heated all the way through at 650 degrees. At 300 degrees, you know, I'm just making the numbers up. Then I can get it there. Nice to work. And it may take me 3 minutes to get this warm here. And I'm not even close yet.
Will you be able to feel that give when you've got it at the right temperature?
Because I can hardly bend that anyway. Okay? And also know just right where you sign. Node just right where you sign the rod every time. There's always a node right there. There's almost always a bend there for me, for some strange reason. I get it really hot, and then I walk over to the corner of my lathe, which sits up about this high, and I lay it on the corner of my lathe and I bend it over that, because I can't get enough pressure on it just doing this and holding it until it cools, because I'm not strong enough, you know. But I can bend it over the corner of that lathe. You could take a broom handle or a piece of 2x4 or whatever and bend it over that, just for the leverage, mechanical advantage. And that's the way I straighten butts and straighten tips.